Hello, and thank you for tuning in to our Facebook Live today. I'm Susie Johnson from the National Capital Poison Center. Today's broadcast is part of a monthly series of Facebook Live events discussing a variety of poison-related topics. If you have a particular topic that you're curious about and would like us to cover, then please let us know and we'll do our best to get to it. So on to today's topic. Today we'll hear from Dr. Robert Porter, who is a poison specialist with the National Capital Poison Center. And he will be talking about Halloween hazards and safety tips. So Halloween's just around the corner, and we wanted to use our time today to discuss how to make this Halloween safe and fun. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to type them into the comments, and we'll keep an eye on them so that we can answer them through the presentation. So without further ado, I'll bring in Dr. Porter. Hello, thank you for being here.
Hey everybody, hope you're having a spooky Halloween out there.
All right, I'll leave the time to you.
Thank you very much. So I'm Robert Porter. I'm a specialist here at National Capital Poison Center. So thank you for the introduction. This is my pumpkin buddy here to sort of ring in the season, which is one of the best seasons ever because it's cool and awesome and beautiful out here. And it's about time to get spooky. So we're going to talk about a few things about how to have a super fun and super safe Halloween season. And again, don't be too spooked about the giant pumpkin that I have here in front of me. All right, so let's get started. The first one that I want to talk about is one of the I guess spooky things that we see at the Poison Center all the time during this time of year. These are really helpful to keep your kiddos safe when they're running around the neighborhood trick-or-treating in the dark. But glow sticks and glow jewelry come up all the time in calls to the Poison Center. People will chew on them. They'll leak. Sometimes it happens. They're not, always the most sturdy products, but they're fun to have. But the good news is, although they can be kind of gross, they're non-toxic. But what happens if you bite into them, you're going to have an instant, nasty, kind of fishy, bitter, gross taste. Very unpleasant. Kids certainly don't like the taste. Adults definitely don't like the taste either. But it happens when people chew on them. The good news is you don't have to worry. It's not something that's going to poison the little one or an adult or even a pet. But you do want to get it rinsed out of the mouth. Usually a sip of something to drink, preferably something with a good taste is helpful. Maybe a little snack. I guess if you need an excuse to have an extra piece of Halloween candy, that could be one. Or even brushing teeth. That'll get rid of the taste pretty quickly, and that's helpful. Getting it in the eye is kind of a different story. That's really unpleasant, burning, irritating sensation. But we find the best way to deal with that is get the person that got it in the eye, usually the kiddo, in the shower or the tub. And what you do there is if you're in the shower, if the child's tall enough to stand in the shower, you can get the water to hit the forehead and basically just run over the eyes and just get them to blink over and over constantly for a good 10 or 15 minutes. And that way it's gentle, because forcing the eye open in the stream of water is no fun, and that's not spooky, and that doesn't lead to a good Halloween. But if you get kind of this indirect, gentle rinse, you can get the eyes flushed out pretty well. Or if you have a really little one, put them in the tub, get the temperature nice and comfortable in the bath water. We try to make these things as least traumatic as possible. So make it a game, make it fun, keep it spooky, and then bring in a cup or a pitcher, even a good old-fashioned coffee cup will do, right, if that's all you have. And you just pour the water from the tub over their forehead and just try to get the little one to blink as much as possible, and that'll get the eyes rinsed out well. And that'll usually solve the problem. So a lot of, scariness and drama sometimes from the bad taste and the burning sensation, but usually a good rinse, a good flush gets everything sorted out. But it's really common. We get a lot of calls during the Halloween season, also 4th of July, anytime there's like a summer parade, Halloween, sometimes New Year's, things like that. So things to think about in the Halloween season. So let's move on to our next topic, shall we? Spooky topic. All right, up next is Halloween makeup, which you can't have Halloween without some kind of Halloween makeup, right? Which is super cool. Just make sure that when you're applying Halloween makeup to either children or yourself or friends or family, whomever it may be, probably not your pets. I know that's super spooky, but let's not do that. But make sure that it's cosmetics that are meant to be on the skin. So, I know sometimes people come with all kinds of cool ideas. I have a friend that loves Halloween and he'll do all kinds of crazy things for Halloween, but try not to use products that aren't meant for the skin, meaning like don't put, white wall paint on your skin to look spooky, or, use nail polish on the face, those kind of things. Stick to cosmetics meant to go on the skin. These are gentle. They're non-irritating. They're not going to cause rashes and irritation, because if you put cosmetics or home brew kind of things to dress up and look creepy or spooky with, you may end up irritating the skin, especially around the eyes. It's very sensitive, so be careful there. So again, stick to cosmetics, and you'll see on packages of Halloween makeup, it will say that it's meant to be applied to the skin, and that's perfectly fine. And then make sure that before bed, wash it off well. So don't leave it on. If you're out there spooking it up all night, make sure to wash it off. Don't go to bed. Leaving it on can also be a little irritating as well, and nobody wants that. The other thing to remember is, although the creepy cool contacts like the all white or all black or all red vampire contacts, those are super cool, right? They look awesome. They totally jazz up a costume. They can look super scary and super fun, but you got to make sure that if you're going to use scary contacts or different contacts to, for dressing up, make sure that they're prescription, which can be kind of a pain to get, of course, but trust me, it's nothing compared to the pain that you're going to experience if you're using contact lenses that are not prescription. And these are the ones, they sell them at the Halloween store or the costume stores. They're usually, $20-$30, but these are not really appropriate to go into the eye, because they're not sterile. So sterile means that they're protecting your eye from infection. So they're manufactured correctly if it's a prescription product, meaning you get it from your eye doctor, right? They write you a prescription for it, just like me. With my glasses, these are prescription, obviously. But you want to avoid using these commercial products that are not really meant to go in the eye, because they can irritate the eye. They can put your eye at risk for an infection, and that's absolutely no fun. So that could ruin your week or ruin your Halloween. So although they look cool, don't get me wrong, invest the time into getting prescription lenses if that's the road you're going to go down. So let's move on to our next slide. All right, candy and treats. Who doesn't love candy and treats, right? Clearly I do. If this were only one giant Butterfinger or something like that, it'd be pretty awesome. But when it comes to candy and treats, make sure that when the little ones get home, we'll just take a quick once over through their candy, make sure everything's intact, not spoiled, the original wrapper's on, make sure that everything's intact and looks good. It's just good practice. It's just being safe. And in terms of things that, if you have neighborhoods that, for example, the neighborhood I live in, people are big into making baked goods and doing healthier things, that's completely appropriate. But just make sure that if you're going to accept baked goods, or maybe like a handful of nuts or something like that as a treat, make sure they come from people you really know and trust. So, because otherwise, I would stick to the commercially wrapped and commercially prepared products. It's just safer. And that way that there's no question about, even shelf stability, right? It's not a old product. It's safe to eat. It hasn't gone bad. The nuts haven't gone rancid, or that there's not somebody out there trying to fool around and put something silly in baked goods, etc. So be safe. Accept them only from people you know and trust. Next slide. All right. My personal favorite is pretty cool. It's fun to dress up your pets, right? All right. I'm guilty if I have a little Viking hat for my cat, who looks totally awesome when he's dressed up as a fuzzy little Viking. He hates it. He absolutely hates it. It's fun for me, and it's totally spooky. But it's completely awesome to involve your pets in the Halloween spirit. As you can tell here, Mittens and Barkley, they want to get on the action too. But remember, a lot of the treats that are completely safe for us can be very toxic for cats and dogs. So chocolate is kind of the number one thing you want to avoid. A lot of people know that chocolate is toxic to dogs and can poison dogs. It's also toxic to cats. I know that cats are finicky, they're fuzzy little weirdos sometimes, but you may have a cat get into it. So make sure to keep all the chocolate away from both your dogs and cats. The other the other product in treats that can be harmful to your pets is a product called xylitol, which is what you find in sugarless chewing gum or sugar-free chewing gum, which, again, totally fine for humans. It's not a problem, but for dogs and cats, that product can be toxic. So you'll find those things in chewing gums like Orbit or Trident. Pretty much any of the sugar-free ones may have it there. And that causes a lot of unpleasantness with the dogs and cats, a lot of diarrhea and cramping. Again, not a fun Halloween for anybody, but steer them away from the chocolate. So again, dress them up, have fun with them, but no treats, unless they're, vet approved kitty and puppy treats, and that's totally fine. So next slide. All right, personally, dry ice is one of my favorite things to bust out during the Halloween season. This is super fun. It makes your witch's brew look really cool, all that awesome looking fog that comes out everywhere. So it's fun to put in the punch bowl. You get all kinds of cool effects. It almost looks like something you'd see on a movie, right? But if you're going to use it, you got to be careful. So it's definitely fun, but make sure if you're handling the dry ice, the solid blocks of dry ice, make sure you're wearing gloves. Keep your hands protected, because touching it can actually cause a frostbite injury to your skin because it's so cold. It's many, many more times colder than just plain old water ice, because dry ice is not water. It's carbon dioxide in a solid form, which when it kind of bubbles and gases off, it looks super cool, but don't touch it. The other thing too is please, please, please never ever put it in a drink. Again, it looks neat as a prop, but it's not something you should drink from. You shouldn't drop it in somebody's drink, whether we're having fun as a joke or in your own because you want to look like the coolest, spookiest witch in town. I get it. I would too. But don't do that, because that can actually cause an injury to your mouth and throat. If a piece of the dry ice went down, or because it's so cold, you don't want a frostbite injury in your mouth, burn your tongue, or burn your throat. We don't want that. No fun there. And then make sure there's good ventilation to the area. So if you're going to use dry ice in your punch bowl to look spooky, make sure that it's outside, maybe in the garage, maybe out back on the patio, even outside. Of course, with in the pandemic situation now, a lot of what we should do should be outside and social distancing anyway. So that should help with the ventilation. But if you are going to use dry ice, make sure you got at least a window open nearby. You've got good ventilation to the area, a fan on, etc. And then feel free to go nuts and be super spooky with it. Next slide. So I've put a few links here. So there's 4 different links to check out. If this wasn't enough, you want to know more. Again, this is kind of a quick run through on some of the big ticket items that we see, we hear calls about to the Poison Center, and things we want to help keep you safe and have a super fun Halloween. I've also put links to both the National Capital Poison Center, the National Safety Council, the Centers for Disease Control, or CDC, and then Safe Kids Worldwide. These are all really cool resources, really great, very easy to use, easy to share. Feel free to cut and paste and click and do all the fun stuff with these links, text them to your friends, and get them all in the spooky and fun spirit of Halloween. So that's it for me. That's all I have here. So I'm open for questions. I'm open for extra spookiness. Personally, with all this talk, I'm kind of actually ready for some candy. Not candy corn though, because that's nasty, but good spooky candy.
Thank you so much, Dr. Porter. That was a great presentation. I know I learned a lot, and I hope that our viewers did too. So I haven't seen any questions come in yet, but to give people just one more minute or two to ask, I have one or two questions for you. So I want to maybe have you talk a little bit about what people can expect if they do need to call you on Halloween. Like, what should they be prepared to tell you? What will the experience be like?
Sorry, you're breaking uppy there, but I think the question was, what should people expect if they call the Poison Center on Halloween? Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. What kind of information will they need to provide? What will the experience be like?
Sure. So when you call the Poison Center, we are here for you 24. So call anytime. The things that we do is some very simple questions in terms of who we're speaking with, who got into, whether it's the child, the pet, the you, whomever the event or exposure happened to. It's always helpful to know brand names if you have them. If it's a glow stick, I understand a lot of them don't have. But if you know the brand name, say, of the Halloween makeup that the child got in the eye, or if you have the name of whatever candy or treat or about the product, we can either you can pass on to us is super helpful, because the specialist needs to know as much about the product or the item involved here. So telling us exactly what happened, when it happened, is very helpful. We're going to ask your name and your zip code, and we have to do that. Basically, we need to know who we're speaking to and where And don't forget that all of our call confidential. But when you call, just tell us what happened. We'll ask you some questions, try to figure out how's the person doing, what happened, when it happened, did it get in the eye, did they eat it, did they touch it? And then we're going to give you some recommendations on what to do with it, whether that's how to get it rinsed out of the eye, how to treat it if it's something on the skin. We're going to go through all the details, information, especially if you want a follow-up call. If we can call you back, check in on the person that it happened to, make sure everybody's good. After we talk, if you still have questions, no harm in calling us right back. We're happy to field it further. We're happy to discuss it further because we want if it's the little one involved, everybody to be happy and healthy and being spooky at their Halloween.
Awesome. Thank you. What a great answer. And I hope that anyone who feels that they need to call, even if it's not, what you'd think is an emergency, I hope that people know that we're available 24/7 to help. You can call us at 1-800-222 or 1-800-222-1222. And you can also get help online with our web poison control app and online tool. So thank you again, Dr. Porter. We didn't have any other questions come in, but please, if you're watching after the fact, you're always welcome to reach out by phone or online. This broadcast will be available as well, so people can watch it after. So thanks so much for being with us. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Connections